The invisible mistake that could cost you. Have you ever felt the rush of buying a new folding pocket knife, admiring its sleek design, and believing you've just secured a reliable tool? Here's the dark truth. Most people are walking straight into a trap, and they don't even realize it. The market is overflowing with knives that look strong, sharp, and tactical. But beneath that shine hides a dangerous flaw. A flaw that doesn't show up until the exact moment when your safety, preparedness, and maybe even your fingers are on the line. Before you think about spending a single dollar on another knife, you need to understand that there's a silent mistake almost everyone makes. And if you don't uncover it now, you might regret it when it's already too late. You see, this mistake isn't about choosing the wrong brand or falling for a cheap nutjob. It's deeper, more deceptive, and far more costly. The kind of error that drains your wallet and robs you of trust in a tool that's supposed to protect and serve you. Imagine thinking you're prepared, reaching for your knife in a crucial moment, only to realize that the very thing you depended on was designed more for display than survival. That sinking feeling of betrayal, when the blade fails or the lock slips, can come at the worst possible time. And the scariest part, most people never see it coming because it's hidden beneath flashy marketing and false promises. The worst part is this: it's not just about wasting money, it's about risking your safety. A folding knife is more than a gadget. It's a lifeline in emergencies, an everyday companion, and sometimes the only thing standing between you and danger. If you fall for this hidden mistake, you're not just buying a long knife, you're fighting disaster into your pocket. And as you'll see in the next moments, the industry knows this. They count on your ignorance. But once you understand the truth, you'll never look at folding knives the same way again. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal could save you more than just dollars. The market is full of traps. Walk into any store or browse online and you'll see rows of folding knives boasting rugged names, aggressive designs, and descriptions that scream tactical. But here's the sinister reality: much of that is smoke and mirrors. Companies know that most buyers don't test knives under real conditions. They buy with their eyes, not with experience. That's why the market is flooded with knives built to look good but crumble under pressure. And when that pressure comes, when the blade should perform flawlessly, it's too late to realize you've been sold an illusion. Marketing plays with your instincts. They highlight the steel shine, the textured grips, the flashy colors. They don't tell you about the weak lock mechanisms, the brittle steel that chips after a few cuts, or the ergonomic flaws that cause fatigue and slips. These traps are invisible until you use the knife in real-world stress. Imagine depending on your knife to cut through rope in a storm, only to feel the blade flex like plastic. Or worse, imagine it closing on your hand because the lock wasn't built to handle actual force. These are not accidents, they're consequences of companies putting profit above performance. And the foreshadowing grows darker. Because it's not just about bad products, it's about the mindset they want you trapped in. Buying again and again, each time hoping for something better, while quietly ignoring the fact that your safety is compromised. The danger, ISNT, the broken knife in your pocket, the belief that you re-prepared when you re-not. And this false sense of security can cost far more than money. In the next block, I'll expose the very first sign that your folding knife may be weaker than you ever imagined. The first sign of a weak knife, the very first red flag of a folding knife, isn't always obvious to the untrained eye. But once you know it, you'll never unsee it. It starts with the steel. Not all steel is created equal, and many knives are made with cheap alloys, designed to look sharp on day one. But they dull fast, rust quickly, and can even snap under stress. That tiny crack, that loss of edge, it might not bother you while opening a package at home. But when you're miles into the woods or caught in an emergency, that failure can change everything. And by then, it's far too late. Another sign is the locking mechanism. This is the spine of your folding knife, the one piece that keeps the blade from folding back on you. Yet countless knives cut corners here. The result? A lock that feels solid until pressure is applied, and then, without warning, the blade collapses. The consequences are more than inconvenient, they're dangerous. Imagine that blade snapping back onto your fingers while you're under stress, leaving you bleeding and helpless in the moment you needed control. This isn't just a design flaw, it's negligence, and it's one of the most overlooked dangers buyers face. And finally, ergonomics. A knife can look beautiful, but if it slips in your hand, if the grip isn't comfortable, it betrays you when you least expect it. Fatigue leads to mistakes. Mistakes lead to accidents. And accidents with a blade are never small. Each of these signs: weak steel, poor locks, bad ergonomics, may seem minor alone, but together they form a silent threat. And what's worse, they're intentionally hidden under shiny designs. In the next block, we'll peel back the mask and expose how the best-looking knives are sometimes the most dangerous ones of all. When beauty turns dangerous, think about the knives that catch your eye first. Sleek finishes, mirror-polished blades, handles carved to look futuristic, or aggressive designs that scream quality. But here's the hidden danger. Sometimes the prettier the knife, the more deceptive it is. Manufacturers invest heavily in looks because they know most buyers won't test beyond the surface. They rely on you being dazzled by design, while the structural weaknesses remain buried inside. That's why so many so-called premium folding knives end up being fragile showpieces, not trustworthy tools. And that gap between appearance and performance can become catastrophic when reality hits. A knife that looks expensive but hides flaws is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. The spine may not be reinforced, the pivot may be weak, and the steel may have been hardened improperly, all while the exterior shines with detail. And here's the frightening truth. In a critical situation, these invisible weaknesses reveal themselves in the worst ways. The lock can give out, the blade can snap, or the handle can fracture under force. In survival, beauty means nothing if the tool betrays you. That betrayal, disguised behind elegance, is what makes these knives even more dangerous. They lull you into trust before failing. And this danger is rarely seen until it's too late. Because who tests a knife in combat conditions before relying on it? Most users don't know what's wrong until the blade is in their hand and their life depends on it. That's why the market thrives on illusions. They sell trust through aesthetics, knowing the truth won't come out until it's too late for you to change your decision. But if you're still with me, the next block will uncover what happens when these knives meet the unforgiving test of real-world use and why so many fail at the exact moment you need them most. Test it in the real world. When you step outside the showroom and into reality, knives stop being ornaments and start being survival tools. It's in camping trips, hiking, everyday carry, or even emergencies where the truth of a folding knife is revealed. You might need it to process wood for a fire, cut cordage in a storm, or defend yourself when danger strikes. And in those moments, there is no room for failure. A weak knife isn't just disappointing, it's a liability that can turn a manageable situation into a life-threatening disaster. And this is where most flashy knives collapse under the weight of reality. Imagine this. You're trying to cut through rope as rain pours down, and your knife suddenly slips in your hand. Or worse, the lock fails, and the blade folds onto your knuckles. That injury leaves you weaker, slower, and suddenly vulnerable. In the wilderness, that could mean infection, blood loss, or the inability to continue safely. In urban life, it could mean failing to respond in an emergency or losing your only tool in a crisis. These aren't exaggerated fears, they're the real consequences of trusting a knife that wasn't built to perform. And yet, this is the trap many buyers walk right into. The saddest truth is that these failures don't show up until you're already committed. Until you've carried that knife into the woods, into your pocket, or into a moment when seconds matter. And that's why recognizing the traits of a truly reliable folding knife is non-negotiable. Because once reality tests your gear, excuses don't matter, only performance does. And in the next block, I'll break down the specific features and secrets that separate knives that survive from knives that shatter under pressure. These are the characteristics no brand wants you to know, because once you do, you'll never buy blindly again. The hidden characteristics nobody talks about. Here's the part where most videos sugarcoat the truth, but I won't. The knives that survive real conditions share a few vital traits that aren't advertised on glossy packaging. First is the steel. It must be a proven high-quality composition with proper heat treatment. Cheap alloys look sharp on day one, but wear out fast. Reliable knives use steels like S30V, D2, or 154cm, known for holding an edge and resisting corrosion. Without this foundation, everything else is irrelevant. It's not about the shinitz, about the strength hidden within the blade itself, forged to withstand stress and time. The second characteristic is the lock. Whether it's liner lock, frame lock, or axis lock, what matters is durability and consistency. Weak locks are silent killers, giving you confidence right until the moment they collapse. A real folding knife's lock doesn't just hold under light use, it resists torque, twisting, and stress. Testing this is simple. Apply pressure beyond normal and see if the blade stays solid. If it wiggles, if it shifts, that knife is a hazard waiting to strike. And yet, countless models fail this test because companies gamble you'll never push them that far. Finally, ergonomics. A knife is useless if it cannot be held securely in sweaty, wet, or fatigued hands. The shape, texture, and balance must work with you, not against you. Poor ergonomics don't just make work uncomfortable, they create openings for mistakes, and mistakes with a blade can scar for life. These three pillars, steel, lock, and ergonomics are the blueprint of trust. Without them, your knife is just an accessory. With them, it's a survival tool. And in the last block, I'll tie it all together and reveal why ignoring these traits doesn't just waste money, it can put you in serious danger. So here's the hard truth. Buying the wrong folding pocket knife isn't just a mistake. It's a silent gamble with your safety. Every flashy, fragile knife you carry is a shadow waiting to betray you when it matters most. The cuts that don't go through, the locks that slip, the steel that rusts it, all builds to the moment when you realize too late that you've been tricked. And once that moment arrives, regret is the only thing sharper than the blade. That regret is the shadow that haunts every careless purchase, and it's exactly what you're avoiding by being here, learning this now. If you ignore these warnings, you may carry false confidence until the day reality strips it away. But if you've paid attention, you already know the signs.
You already understand what to demand from your next folding knife, and what traps to avoid. This knowledge is more powerful than any brand label because it protects not just your wallet, but your fingers, your safety, and your preparedness. And make no mistake, every purchase is a choice between a tool that protects and a toy that betrays. Which one ends up in your pocket is entirely up to you. Here's your call to action. Don't waste another cent on knives that look good but fail in reality. Demand strength, demand security, demand ergonomics that keep you in control. I've put together links and recommendations in the comments and description to guide you toward knives that don't just look the part they deliver when it matters most. But act now, because the worst mistake isn't buying the wrong knife. It's ignoring the warning, buying blind again, and carrying regret in your pocket. Don't let that shadow follow you. Choose wisely before it's too late.